på. Ja.
Stat. Hallå. Morgon. Det är ljud på.
God morgon.
Hallå. Projekt, är det den då?
Ja, men jag tror den går vidare. Det är därför det lät så mycket.
Och det behöver vi kanske inte ha här inne.
Nej,
Men det kan bli spännande.
det ska vi inte ha här. Ja. Vad hade du här? Typ.
Ska vi ta första sliden?
Första...
Ja, vad kursen innehåller. Eller ska jag ta det?
Den tar jag.
Ja.
Ska vi ställa ner de här?
Nej.
Jag ska ha den högt. Den här har vi märkt.
Är det förhoppningen?
Jag tror det. God morning.
Nej. Ska det inte vara 20 stycken?
Datare.
Ja.
Nej, jag vet inte. Det kanske är tvärtom. Ja, vi kanske borde haft en dator med som visar chatten, men too late. Det verkar ju fungera. Två. Jag har en och någon. Micke Mosa förmodligen den andra. Nej, han har nog inte hunnit komma till. Så. Jag tror det är öppet då. Ser bra ut. Varför är inte kameran igång här? God morgon. Och det var... Man måste stå rätt nära. Jag ska ta med en annan också, men det blir bra.
Var kommer den?
Sitter där.
Ja.
Och så är det mitt finger.
Ja, ska vi hinna detta så
Ja, är det väl dags att vara här.
kvart över.
Good morning. Welcome to DV 1466 and DV 1563. Unix and Linux, an introduction and overview. Overview and introduction. More or less that. My name is Emil and I normally teach programming and the web. And we were going to teach this course together with my brilliant colleague Kenneth, who will in about 10-15 minutes tell you most, if not everything, you need to know about Linux. The history at least. And I'm going to give you an intro to the course. I'll show the course page on Canvas and where the course material is located. we will do this course in a slightly different way than you're probably used to. We will have this lecture today, and then all Fridays, but next Friday we will have lab session where you can come and ask questions, and then we will complement this lecture with a lot of video material, or at least some video material that will complement what's written in the course material and in the course literature. So we will not have a lot of lectures like this, but you will have a lot of time to work on your assignments alone, ask questions on Fridays. We also have a chat where you can ask questions. So that will be the way we will do it in this course. And then the material will be complemented by video. So the agenda for today, I'll talk about the course content, and then Kenneth will talk a little bit about the history of Linux, and then we will get going with the lab environment. We have handed around USB sticks. What we want you to do with the content on that is that you just copy it to your desktop or somewhere on your computer. It's a Debian image, and then it's the VirtualBox environment where we can run a different OS in a VirtualBox virtual machine. We do that because we don't want to overload the internet when you all download 700 megs of Debian images. So that's why we have the USBs. Course content, I'll show it for the DV1466. It's more or less the same for the DV1563 that the civil engineers take. The only main difference is that DV1466 complete 4 assignments. DV1563 only completes 3 assignments. It's 7.5 credits for the DV1466, and it's only 6 for the DV1563. So we have 4 assignments, Apache Virtual Host, Bash, regular expressions, and then Maze Runner, the last one. To read about the course, we go to our own webpage. This is where all the course content for all web programming courses are gathered. It's called dbweb.se. It's open source, so everyone can go look at it. But we decided to do it this way to get our own course platform, to use the tools that we use normally to do web programming in a nicer way than to put all on canvas. So all you need to complete all assignments is here, and what we will do later on today is to do this part, the assignment prerequisites, where we install VirtualBox, and then we'll install Debian inside that VirtualBox, and then we will install a command line interface called dbweb that we use to get assignments and upload assignments so that we can correct them. Furthermore, it automatically creates labs, and we can and you can automatically correct your own labs to see if you're right or wrong. So that's the big thing with this dbweb CLI. We'll look into that later. I think that's more or less it. We use what's called Gitter to chat. So if you go to gitter.im/dbweb-se and then Unix, you can ask us questions. We try to answer frequently, or at least during office hours. So that's our chat, and then we have to see the schedule. You go to schemabth.se, and as we can see, it's the same for the 1563 course. We have all Fridays booked up from 8 to 10. Today we're here, and all Fridays, but next Friday, because of the birthday party for BTH, we will be in the H labs, or the web labs, H 1429 and H 430. I will record a video later today showing how you go from the reception up to the lab rooms, because we need that for the software engineering students as well for next week. So I'll record a video showing how you get to the labs. It's kind of hard to get there without, I think. I think that's more or less it. The course plans can be viewed either by searching, or you can go, I think it's the furthest down here. You have the 2 course plans for the 2 courses, DV 1466 and then 1563. It's more or less the same, except for the 7.5 credits and the 6 credits. You can get it in English as well.
Du har något om feedback på Canvas med?
Va?
Feedback på Canvas.
When you do hand-ins, we can take a look at it. You will use the CLI that I talked shortly about before to publish the code to the so-called student server. It's a server that BTH hosts, and every student has their own little private part. So you publish your code there, and then we can download and correct and grade it. So that takes care of the code, so you don't have to do any zip files and upload and things like that. So when you do a hand-in, you simply go to Canvas, submit the assignment. Then for each assignment we have reflective questions, as it's called. So let's go to assignment 1, virtual host, or we can take, we'll take this one. And then when you do your hand-in, you do a DB web publish me, that's the CLI part. And then we want on the education platform that you reflect on what you've done during the week. Research have shown that if you reflect on your own learning, you will learn it twice, which we are very big proponents of. So you will further strengthen your learning. So we want you to write about 10-15 sentences answering these 3 questions. And then your grade is based on this table. It looks the same for all 4 assignments. So you're graded A to F on all 4 individual assignments. You get points towards the final grade. The final grade table we can look at later. So if you only complete assignments, you get 10 points and an E on that assignment. If you have completed assignments and have reflected for answers or an adapted me page on the first one, you get 15 points. And then if you have all 20, if you have all 3, you get 20 points.
What is adapted me page?
That's, I guess you are the data security.
Yes.
You will not complete this assignment.
Okay.
But the master students will complete this, and that's one of the assignments.
I'm a master student in computer security.
Yeah, computer security.
So I'm not doing this.
You're not doing this. You will do assignment 2, 3, and 4. So we can take a look at that. For assignment 2, which you all will complete, it looks like this instead, where there's extra assignments in the labs, and if you complete them, you will get 5 extra credits or extra points. All the assignments are described here. So for each week you have like 3 sub assignments. So you read the instructions, you can do the lab. Like this, you will we can take a look at that in a video probably. You create the lab with the CLI command line interface. You get 2 files. You write your answers in the answer bash file, and then you auto-correct it for yourself, so you get feedback it's correct or not, and then you hand it in. And if you also complete the extra assignments, you get more points towards the final grade. And then there is bash scripts and bash scripts with arguments and options for the second assignment. So when you are done with assignments, you have these 3 questions. You write reflective answers to them, and you paste them here. And then you do your hand-in, together with a link to, not a link, but your student acronym. You have the student acronym, which is your 4 letters and 2 numbers. Be sure to put it here, your student acronym. I think that was all.
Huh? So, we're going to talk a bit about the history of Linux, of how it became Linux, and what it's called predecessors are. Torbjörn? Oh. Here we go. All the fuss about Linux started somewhere around 1969 at AT&T Bell Labs. They had a big time-sharing operating system called Multics. It was very, very complex and not so user-friendly. Oh, vad är bilden? I'm going to have an image of... Okay. 2 gentlemen, Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie, worked at Bell Labs. And after Multics project has been cancelled, they took the source code and started to build their own operating system. Together with a whole lot of colleagues, but these are the 2 frontmen for Unix. They wanted to create a simpler operating system. They wrote it in the language C because they wanted it to be portable and easier to maintain. Before, it was in assembler. Because they worked at AT&T Bell Labs, their project fell under a license, so you have to pay money to use it. And because it was portable, a lot of other, especially academic schools, adopted it, they copied it. Some say they stole it, the Unix operating system. And one of those universities that stole the code, copied, was University of California in Berkeley. They created the BSD operating system, Berkeley Software Distribution. It's a Unix-like operating system. They had a lot of open source code. They wanted other people to work with them on the project. But because they had stolen some code, Unix thought they had stolen some code, perhaps they did. You still needed the license. And that debate led on to a lawsuit that in the late 80s, I think BSD won, that Unix has copied their code. It's strange. I think they stole from each other. BSD is the, I hope I used the word correctly, predecessor for a whole lot of other operating systems. I'm gonna take a pause here. I see why I didn't get an image. I don't have the latest versions of the slides. Ja, men jag uppdaterade den igår kväll. Jag uppdaterade den igår kväll. Here we go. Är det den du kör eller? Nej. Nej. Okay, yeah, so we have Unix-like operating system, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, macOS. I think Steve Jobs worked with some of the descendants for BSD for a while, and somehow it got it into the iOS. And we have GNU Linux, which is the operating system we're going to use in this course. Here's supposed to be an image of Dennis Ritchie and Linus Torvalds. And those two are the starting point for the Linux we know today. Richard Stallman founded the GNU project. GNU is a, I don't know, it's a pun. It's a GNU's not Unix. The GNU project has an aim for freedom for the users. They want the software to be free, open source. So he tried to create his own Unix-like operating system. It all went pretty well, except for the kernel. His kernel was called GNU Herd. He didn't get a lot of collaborators on it, so I don't think he finished the kernel. But someone who did was Linus Torvalds from Finland. When he was a student, he wanted to use the Unix-like operating system, and he decided to create his own kernel. And that is Linux. So it's only the kernel that's Linux. He didn't want to talk to other people, but a whole lot of people wanted to help him with the kernel. So he's the one who created Git. I don't know if you used it. Just because he didn't want to talk to his collaborators. So the GNU software, free software, together with the Linux kernel is GNU Linux. Nowadays, Linux is used almost everywhere. Windows started to adopt it more and more. macOS runs a Unix-like operating system. 95% of the top 1 million servers out there runs on Linux. Smartphones, smart TVs, cars, airplanes. NASA uses Linux, or NASA. 100% of the world 500 supercomputers now runs on Linux. And 90% of the public cloud workload runs on Linux. And as far as Hollywood special effects, it started with Titanic, the movie. That special effects were made on a Linux computer. And now is a lot of movies. Facebook, Google, Twitter, McDonald's. Everybody uses Linux in some form, or Unix-like operating systems. Is it architecture or architecture? Architecture. Gonna see an image, I hope, if the image works. Next slide. Think of it as, okay, we're not gonna see an image. Circles inside each other. So the innermost circle, there we have the hardware, the processor, memory, all the stuff inside the computer. The next circle, the next layer, is the kernel, Linux. And it interacts directly with the hardware. And between each layer, there is a very hard API, just so you don't do something you shouldn't. It becomes more safe. The next layer is the shell. We're going to use bash. There you can use commands to interact with the kernel, also through a strict API. And when we log in, we are in the user space or application space. There we have the user-defined programs. We have pre-installed programs. That's what we use. Then we use a terminal, which is the shell, to interact with the computer. And I did this picture myself. That's why I'm sad it's not working. Suger vi med. Nej. Kom igen. Nej. Bilden med det. Kolla. Here we go. So these are the layers, and each layer interacts with the layer inside. So here we are when we log in, the user space. It's pretty safe, especially if you are a user with the user permissions. You don't have the rights to do too much damage. We use the shell to interact with the kernel, who controls and handles the hardware inside. Here we have Linus Torvalds. The introvert Finnish guy who helped us a lot. And then we have Richard Stallman somewhere here. Here we go. The founder of the GNU project. I don't know if anyone wants to see Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie. back in the days when they worked at AT&T Bell Labs. It's a different kind of computer nowadays. Alongside with the shell, most people have a desktop environment. And to be able to display something on the screen, we need Xorg. And together with it, a window manager. So we get taskbar, we have effects on windows and such. And then we have a sea of desktop environments. You can choose which one you want. It doesn't really matter. It's a preference kind of thing. Some are more user-friendly, some are more like Mac OS, some are more like Windows, and so on. I think in the videos we will publish, we use Cinnamon or XFCE. So if you want to follow and it's going to look the same, take one of those. And why are you taking this course? Except that you have to. As we said before, nowadays 90% of the public cloud workload runs on Linux. And almost every server out there runs on Linux. The student servers runs on Linux. They have another shell, not Bash. They have a C shell, I think, or TC shell. Perhaps a lot of you are going to work with Cisco iOS. They run on Unix-like operating system. And most of all, when you get familiar with Linux, you get the feeling of control and freedom, and it's fun. Because a lot of things you do get easier on Linux, as long as you get over a threshold where you work in a terminal. When you do, you can do almost anything you want, especially if you have root access. Good luck, and I hope you learned something about the history of Linux. It was brief, but we need some time to get the installations going. So we do that here, while we are here, so we can help you if something goes wrong. The goal today is that everybody has installed VirtualBox and a working Linux distribution on it.
If you have Linux already on your computer, do you need a VirtualBox?
Then you have to install Windows and install VirtualBox to install Linux. No, it's fine. It's fine. Det kan vara för att det är en simlänk i EMG-mappen. Det ligger ju i alla på 1918. Att den inte funkar. Men det funkar ju i labbsalen. Nej. Ja. Vet vad man också kan göra? Ja, han har inte gjort det. Coolt, vad ska vi göra nu? Ska vi streama fortfarande? Hur långt gjorde vi här? Vi installerade Debian. Om bara ser så alla har det. Does everyone have the installation software? Anyone who don't have it? Perfect. I will install it at the same time, so if you can look at the screen if you want to, if you get stuck somewhere. Ja, börjar med titta här och slösa luft. Japp. Jag är livsfarlig.
Jag har redan Linux, men jag har ju ingen varken Debian eller...
Vad kör du inte?
Jag kör Arch.
Ah, okej.
Bör jag fortfarande installera Debian då eller?
Nej, jag gissar på att har du Arch så kan du lösa problem. Ja, det bör inte dyka upp någonting. Det var dubbelkolla sen. Vi ska använda sed bland annat sen.
Ah, okay.
Så att det är någorlunda samma version och så här. Men är det problem så löser vi det under tiden. Perfekt. Tack.
Så Ubuntu kommer att gå.
Det tror jag nog. Problem löser vi under tiden.
Som att han kör det här verktyget bara på sin dator eller bara separat? Eller?
VirtualBox.
Ja, om man redan kör Linux i...
Om du redan kör Linux.
Ja.
Okej, ja, WebCLI behöver du installera.
Okay.
Så då hoppar du bara till den delen direkt.
Den sätter igång efter det nu.
3, 2, 1.
Ja, vi börjar. We'll start.
Det tar sin tid.
Men du kan ju prata.
Okay. During VirtualBox setup, just go next all the time. This part can't go wrong. Ja, don't worry. Next step, we want to create a new virtual machine. So we click on new. We give it a name. You can call it Debian. It's a 64-bit version on the USB stick. I guess most of you have 64-bit operating systems. So we choose Linux, Debian 64-bit, and we go next. We can just leave everything at default. Next, we're going to create a virtual hard disk. Create. We want a VDI, virtual disk image. So we go next.
Just to add, this video that we're currently streaming will be uploaded then to YouTube if you miss something, so you can always look at it later on.
Yeah, and these instructions we do now are in the guide for VirtualBox. So there are already videos of it. We like videos. Dynamically allocated. Yeah, that's good. Just click create. And we're done with part 1. This is our virtual machine. It got some allocated memory and disk space. We start it, and then we will be prompted. Here we go. We're going to choose an image for the installation of the operating system. We choose the one from the USB stick. We open it, and we start. Here we choose graphic install. Just press enter. We can continue the installation guide in English. Then we're going to choose which kind of key mapping we want on. Yes?
When I start, I get the third authorization for virtual machine.
Antingen BIOS eller Hyper-V, tror jag. Antingen BIOS eller Hyper-V. Ja, det heter något annat. VTX.
Could you show the address for the dbweb?
The address for dbweb.se.
Yeah, because I'm checking the courses and I can't find the...
Oh, to the course. It's dbweb.se / kurser. It's courses in Swedish. And then unix -v1.
We can add a link on the front page.
Yeah.
Or the courses page.
Yeah, I think they're all link in Canvas.
Yeah, in Canvas. But on the pad.
Oh. Hittar ni det? Ja. Jag brukar alltid lägga armen på alla F-knappar.
F2, F10 or F12.
Or 1 or 9.
Never got too far.
Vad är det för dator då? Delete. That's logic. Vad sa du? Ja, jag vet X. Eller här står det något på MSI, så kan det vara SVM. Jag hade bara enable everything. Ska vi köra vidare? Japp. Shoot. Det känns väl tryggt.
Ja. Det gjorde ingen skillnad. Det var bara att försökte initiera. Jag tänkte bara säga, kolla om det är rätt här nu.
Jag ser inte riktigt. Jag får nog ställa mig här.
Hur är det? Structuring B som ska...
Ja, precis. Då får du ner alla mapparna där du lägger dina uppgifter. Så sen.
Ja.
Varför failar innan då? Kommer du på det?
Ingen aning. Först stod det angett fel lösenord eller något, men det här.
rsync är ett kommando du behöver installerat.
Jag tror jag ska ha det. Jag kan kolla.
För det filmen lät ut som att du inte hade rsync. Yes. Here you're gonna choose the Debian. Did you copy?
Yes.
Yeah. Just choose the image you copied.
This language to English.
Okay. I can't look there. I have to look at the English to see where you change language.
You mean the zip file or folder? This Debian. Open and then
It should just be an image file.
should be an image.
Yeah, just one file, not. If you go back, you have mounted it as a volume. Do you have it on your desktop or something?
No, in a drive.
Yeah, but you should have.
Debian, the unzipped file. This is the zip file.
If you look at the file extension on that one, is it the .iso? Yeah, that's the one. Ja. Ska gå och kolla hur man... Det är en som har fått det på persiska. VirtualBox. Men vad var det som inte funkar där uppe?
Ja, för att kolla om BIOS-inställningarna är rätt. Det vill jag inte sätta igång. Om inte du kanske kör det via Hyper-V. Istället.
Ja, men man måste ju stänga av Hyper-V.
Okej, det kanske är det. Den här VC minus D. Men den var på.
Den är på.
Så det man ska ta bort Hyper-V eller?
Ja, det borde vara i så fall.
Hur gör man det? Då,
I can't find any language settings. So perhaps if you install it again.
Install this?
Just VirtualBox. We can try if you... Did you change anything here?
He changed this PTD, it was disabled, he changed it to enable, but it still got the same error.
Then we look at what perhaps is another issue. Have you booted Windows with BTD enabled?
Yes.
Everything's okay?
Yes.
Except VirtualBox?
Yes.
Okay, then we can go into Windows again. According to their website, the thing that should be enabled is enabled. So if you take the Windows key and then you type turn and then you space and then Windows and that one. And then you disable Hyper-V, just and then okay. Then you have to reboot, I think. I think it's gonna work. Yeah. Hur går det? Är ni på gång eller?
Ja, det går bra.
Härligt. Ja, vi får se. Yeah, we're gonna keep going. I want to be able to use some Swedish characters on my keyboard. So I choose Europe and then Sweden. And as a what's it called? Encoding. I go with English US UTF-8. Key mapping. I got a Swedish keyboard. Did it work?
No.
Oh, the same problem?
Yes.
Doesn't it?
I think I'm just going to use Hyper-V instead of VirtualBox.
Which one do you use on?
If it solves the same problem, it's just go with it.
Which one did you use on figure local? Förslaget. Har ni inte glömt den? Den här.
As a host name, you can choose whatever you want. Of ease, I go with the default one, Debian. Leave domain name blank. And here it's important that you remember the root password you choose. I'm pretty lazy, so I choose root. And I have to type it again, because you will need this password. Next step, just your name for the user. Type something good. The username for the account. And the password for the user we created. So now we have two passwords to remember, the user password and the root password. Ja, precis. Det är målet med dagen, att alla ska ha det klart. We choose guided and we use the entire disk. This is the virtual disk we created in the beginning of the installation. We got one to choose from. You can't really go wrong here. We keep all the files in one partition. And we finish the partitioning and we write these changes to disk. Choose yes when you come here. And then we wait. We're going to choose a network mirror. It's where we download packages from. We are in Sweden, we can choose the official. We can leave the proxy one blank. apt is the package manager. You use it to download additional software in Linux. En tråd.
aldrig kunnat, så jag
Okej.
slutade och så bara skitsamma. Kolla.
Okej, det finns, allt jag gör nu finns i instruktionerna, redan färdiga videos. Men här kör du bara enter. Enter. Här väljer du ett rotlösenord. Det kan vara, eller du måste komma ihåg vad det är.
Ja.
Ett namn bara. Och användarnamn. Och ett användarlösenord.
Vad var det andra lösenordet?
Det första är rotlösenord. Rotanvändaren har väldigt mycket rättigheter. Och sen så då lägger man till en användare som inte har lika mycket rättigheter. Yes. Boom. Yes.
Can I get the flash? Or can
I go and get it. Here we have both VirtualBox and the Debian image on it. So take both files and then you can't use. Then you don't need VirtualBox.
I don't need.
No, you already have Linux installed,
Yeah, I've installed it.
so you don't need anything of this. You're done. Ja. Skulle jag säga det, eller vad sa du? Är du vaken? More or less. More or less. We don't have to participate in a survey, so we choose no. And here's one of the fun parts. Here we choose a desktop environment. We can choose GNOME, XFCE, KDE, or Cinnamon, Mate. If you never used Linux before, it's hard to know which one is most user-friendly or which one is the one you want. XFCE is a very simple desktop. It's very much good enough. I think GNOME is one of the more process demanding desktop environments. And as we said before, the installation process of VirtualBox, Debian, and guest editions are in the guide that's linked in the course. So it's the guide for VirtualBox. And we are around here. And there we have a video that's doing what I'm doing now. Vad sa du? Länken dit. Vi har allt vårt material på dbweb.se.
Den här.
Så det länkas dit. Ja, precis. Och här är nästa steg sen. När vi är klara med...
Okej.
Så du backar dit, ja. Och så går vi ner lite. Och sen... Där, Virtual Box Guide.
Ja, där.
Mm.
Sådär.
Ja, vi är någonstans på install Debian nu.
Oj.
Är man här så är man i stort sett färdig också. Det är bara att invänta. Det tar sin tid. Japp.
I det här steget så undrar jag bara vad jag ska ha. Är det yes eller no?
Yes.
Yes.
Det var väldans vad liten text av det.
Jag vet inte om det har någonting att göra att upplösningen är 4K till skillnad från... jag vet inte heller. För det är ju... Så har det varit på vissa andra program med. Att det är väldigt litet.
Okej. Men det måste gå att rätta till, va?
Ja, det vore...
Bara kör enter.
Det är bara att continue, I guess.
Ja. Vad är det proxyn du frågar om? Bara kör enter. Jag tror det är 40 minuter kvar. Ja. You really don't need all the software. You can, if you want to switch between desktop environments, then you can choose several. If you're satisfied with one, then you can uncheck mate and LXDE.
Okay.
Mm. Ja. Hur är Emil? Tänkte... Man hade ju kunnat spendera typ mellan 11 och 12 i labbsalen. Eller något. Om det skulle vara... För här kan vi inte vara längre än 10.
Nej.
Om det är något. Nej, 10 har vi möte.
Vilket möte?
Andreas och Emil. Andreas och Mikael.
Ett sånt möte.
Ja. Men vi är 11. Ja. Streamen är igång, eller? Ja. Ja, jag vet inte om man... Alltså sluta atom. Ja, då måste man bli klara med det här. Ska vi propsar på att köra allt i VirtualBox eller dela mapp. Så att man delade webbkursmappen. Även atomerna. Next step is we're gonna install the grub bootloader. It's a piece of software that helps us. If we got several operating systems, the grub bootloader handles which one we start. We get some options. We want to install it. We choose the only device we have. And then we're done. It has to reboot. This is the grub bootloader. Then we'll be prompted with the login. We created a user during the installation. We also created a password. It was so long ago. There we go. I choose to use default config. And now we got Debian installation in our VirtualBox. We're almost done. We have to install the DB Web CLI, the command line interface, and a text editor where we can write our code. And guest editions, so we can get this one in full screen, and we can copy and paste from the host OS, which is Windows. And this is called the guest OS. So the guest OS is Linux, the host OS is Windows. We want to copy and paste between. It's good to have. And we want to be able to run this in full screen. In the guide, we have all the steps needed to install guest edition. First off, the su command, it switches to the root user. And here you need to remember the root password. Then we use the package manager to install some tools that we need. And we build a module, and then we insert a CD. Then we run a program on the CD, and then we reboot. No need to remember all of this. So I'm just going to copy that one. I can't paste it here yet. First thing is we're going to start the terminal. This is the shell we talked about before. The command su prompts us for the root password. So we type the root password. When you write passwords, you don't see any stars or, of course, not the text you actually write. So it's nothing wrong, you're not supposed to see it. Now we can see I am the root user. Then I can install. So I take this command. Now I have to type it. Upget is the package manager. We pass a command, install. Can't see. Upget install. And then we need three parts: Build Essential, Module Assistant, and something called DKMS. Oh, it's really small. Build Essential, Module Assistant. You can start a browser in here. Then you can copy paste if you want. Module Assistant and DKMS. I want to continue, and we can see here the Y is in uppercase. That's the default. If I just press enter, it's going to choose the one that's uppercase. There we go. We're going to prepare for building a module. M-A prepare. And it's done. The command ls, it shows what's in a specific folder. Just the command displays the content of the folder we're in. And /media/cd-rom is a path to the cd-rom. We got nothing there. We go to devices. And that was a little bit fast. Devices. And then at the bottom we have insert guest editions CD image. You do that, and we try again. If it's still empty, we have to mount the CD-ROM first. The command mount media CD-ROM. If we run ls again, we see we have some content. And here we want to run VBox Linux additions. I can't copy. We run it with sh. It's a sh script, a bash script. Media, CD-ROM. If you press tab, you get some, auto completion on the path. So now we got a lot of stuff with VBox inside, and I just had to type the L. Then it's only one that matches, and then I can press tab. I don't have to write the whole name. It saves a lot of time. And as root, we run it. And then we wait. Any questions so far? That's almost too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off. When it's done, it says here, running kernel modules will not be replaced until the system is restarted. So we reboot. We use sudo reboot. As root, then you can do sudo. Or you just close it and power off machine and then start it again. And we have to do a reboot just to power it off again, because when we reboot, it uses the new kernel features that we installed. So now we can power off the machine. Then we're going to go into settings. And then we click on advanced. And these two shared clipboard. It shares the clipboard between the host and the guest. Here we want bidirectional. And we can take bidirectional drag and drop as well between. Okay, then we start it again and cross our thumbs. Here we go. The right control is the, what's it called? The capture key. I hold that one down and I press F. Then I try to make it full screen. I hope it's going to work. I switch. And if this works, then the guest editions is installed properly. Perhaps it's a bit easier to work when it's full screen. And we should be able to copy paste as well. Copy that one. And it's working. Perfect. I hope it worked for you as well. More or less. Then we're done with guest editions. We go to dbweb CLI. Now I'm in the index page of assignment 1. Just run the commands in order. The first one, it adds the user to the sudo group, which allows the user to install programs, so we don't have to switch to the root user every time. It's a one-liner. Oops. Now I can copy this. I can paste it here. And it prompts for the password for the root because of the SU in the beginning. And then we're done with this part as well. A tip is never run terminal commands that you find online if you're not really sure on what they do, because you can really mess up the computer. So it's a bit, yeah, never do it, but do it here. But if you find some bash scripts on Stack Overflow, it can be really dangerous just to run them. Now we're going to install some good to have programs. Now we can use sudo apt-get the package manager, the argument install, and then a list of programs. They are needed for the dbweb CLI. I don't think everyone in here is going to need SSH, the open SSH server. Just the one who's doing the assignment 1 need it. I think. It doesn't hurt. Just install it. So. Good. When you see commands like this, don't copy the $sign. It just shows it's a terminal command, the prompt. So the stuff after. Now we're going to install the dbweb CLI. And again, just run the line here. Don't think about what it do. And we paste it. It uses, among other things, the program wget that we installed here. It gets a file from our program manager's GitHub, and it adds it in the bin folder, so you can just run the program. It installs it. It's nothing dangerous, I promise. We try it out with dbweb -- version. Version in this case is an option to the command. Now we can use tab again. Just type db. If we press multiple times on tab, we can see we have got some other programs that start with db. We add a w. Just a w. Then we only have dbweb, the program. And -- version. We see a version. That means it's installed properly. Everything's good to go. Here's a video where you can see all of this again, if you want. Now we're going to tell the dbweb script, the CLI program, who you are, so it knows when you do a publish on your stuff, so it knows where to put it. So everyone puts it on their own place at the student server. Kom igen. So, dbweb config. It's an argument to the program. Now you get prompted with, that's going to be your username. Change it to your acronym, it's called, I think. So just type it here, what your acronym is. I don't know, something like that. Or perhaps, yeah, and press enter. What it does, it uses the file .dbweb.config in the root and adds it there. You can always look at the file if you want. This is the content of the config file. Nothing suspicious here. Some URLs where to find the lab. Base URL to the server. Here you're going to have your acronym instead. Yeah, you don't really need to know what's in here. It's nothing fancy. Just some configurations. You need the course material, I guess. To get it, we use a command called mkdir. We create a folder, make directory. And the easiest thing would be if you name it dbweb-kurser. It's courses in Swedish. Because it's going to map your local version of the assignments with the one in the student server. And there it's called dbweb-kurser. If you want to call it something else, then do it. Next step, we use command cd, change directory. We want to step into dbweb-kurser-mappen, folder it's called. Now we're here. And here we use the dbweb CLI again to clone the course material. So dbweb, clone, and the name of this course is Unix. So dbweb clone Unix. ls, and we got the folder named Unix. And there where all the course material resides. Förlåt.
I ran that command, but I think I ran clone Linux instead. Is that the same?
No, it's another course.
Okay.
So just then you can, if you are in the dbweb course folder, rm-r and then the folder name. Then you remove the folder and you do it again, dbweb clone Unix. Have you started working on the material in there?
Yeah.
If it's still relevant, copy the material first. Oh, yeah, you don't have to remove the folder if you don't want. Just clone Unix as well. Yeah, when we are inside the Unix folder, there's one more command. dbweb init. What this one does, it downloads the folders you're going to work in, the ones we got before we do it. Is mostly files that the program needs. We got an example folder. There we have examples. You're going to copy stuff from there during the assignments. We got a tutorial folder. I'm not really sure if there is any good stuff in there. Have a look. Or else you don't have to worry about any of those. But when we do dbweb init, type the word yes if prompted. It uses SSH as we installed to get the course folders. So this fingerprint is just because the server wants to know who's doing this, or the other way around, perhaps. Just type the word yes and press enter. And then they want the password for the student server. I think it's the same as on Canvas. Yeah. Again. Borde man kunna köra SSH-key med. You did notice how many times we have to type in the password. Nobody wants to do it so many times. So we got one more command. dbweb SSH key. What this does, it creates a special key. It looks like that. And it stores it locally. And then it stores an identical one at the server. And uses SSH to match the keys, so you don't have to type the password. It's really safe and it's a really good way of doing this. And if it's done, you can try it out with dbweb login. And if you don't have to type your password, it's okay. And the key is only stored on the computer you use here. So if you switch computer, you have to run that one again. To get back, we type exit.
This is the student server.
Ah, yeah, perhaps. Finns det där?
You don't need the password.
Yeah, if you've done dbweb SSH key. This is the student server. In the www folder, that's the public stuff. That's where everyone can see what you put up. The other folder is for us and you. It's only you alone who can see it, and when we correct your assignments. Because the code you write, it gets scrambled before it's put in the www folder, just so it shouldn't be too easy to cheat. But inside the web courses, the code is untouched. uname-a tells us something about the server. It runs GNU Linux, it runs Debian, and the name of the server is Sweet. Yes? Back on track. Did we run dbweb init? Yes, we did. Then we got a folder called me. And here we have the assignments. It's called kmom, short for kursmoment in Swedish. Course moment, now course assignment. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a report folder. And what you're going to do inside these folders, you can read instructions on dbweb.se. So here is where you're going to work. And to be able to work, you need a text editor. I don't know if they put Atom in the package manager yet. Oh, 2019 i alla fall. Okay, we just run the command. Is it too much to type from the screen? I don't know if you got instructions of installing Atom available.
No, but you can probably install it through the package manager.
We try.
No, but go to, I don't know what's called, the graphical package manager.
Aha.
You can use whatever text editor you want. So if you want to use code, you can use code. If you want to use something else, use it. We have a couple of commands or demands that we put on the code. We want it to be Linux style line endings. We want it to be 4 spaces, soft tabs. Open the...
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to be standing there. Just cd takes us back to the home folder. wget, it's a program we use to get files. And we can see that the link goes to atom.io. It's their official site, so I guess there's nothing harmful in there. Download and deb. We get a deb package. We use it to install a package on Debian. For you guys who had Ubuntu, there are similar, or Arch, I think there's similar instructions, just to Google away how we install Atom. No. Oh, this took a while. Any questions? All of this I've been talking about is in the guide. And we have videos for a lot of it. Except for Atom, I think. And we have it in Swedish.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Why did you choose Debian?
That's a good question.
I
I think it's the predecessor of a lot of the other distros that's out there now. It's stable, and we've been using it for a very long time. I think that's the main reason. Too afraid to change. It's good. Wrong one.
And Atom? Is there a reason?
The reason for Atom is one part, it's free, and it supports the things we need, like Unix. Even if you install it on Windows, you can change to Linux, Unix file handling. It's the one we use. We have it in all videos, all material. So we try to prompt students to use the same, because if they get stuck, they can look at the videos and it's easier to compare. But now I think a lot of people use VS Code as well. Wrong one. We install it. Starting to run out of time. It was an error. What?
Finns det redan där?
Perhaps it's already installed in the new Debian. It was installed here, at least. In that case, forget what I've been talking about the last 15 minutes. We have the Unix course, and we can take the whole Unix course. Now we're in here. Atom is in the path, I guess, just like dbweb. So it starts like a command. Atom, then dot. I open the current folder I'm in at home. Close the welcome guides. And here we have the Unix folder. You can look inside all files if you want. But the most important one is the me folder. Everyone's going to do assignment 2. Here we have 3 folders, bash 1, bash 2. Those are for the labs. And a script folder where you're going to put some bash scripts. Huh? Oh. I'm going to create the first lab. I'm going to show how it's done. The web create and then bash 1. There are instructions for this as well. But now we put the files in the bash 1 folder. Hade inte atomöppet. Open it again. Bash 1. Here I got some files. And answer.bash is the one we're going to work in. Are you able to see something? Starting to get a bit stressed out. The instructions are written as comments in here. It's grayed out. You can see the first section, it's about the command ls. And then we have the first exercise. Read it, solve it. What we're gonna use command ls to list the files and directories in the Apache 2 directory. Well, I can't reach that high, but it's in the same folder as we are in. There we have a folder called Apache 2. Yeah, use the command ls. In the instruction, it also shows this type of answer. Dollar bracket. It takes the command we put inside, and the result of it gets thrown in the answer variable. So in here, we can start solving the exercise. We're going to use the ls command, Apache folder. We save it. This is going to be wrong answer because I can't spell. Apache 2. We go to the terminal. Unix, me. Yeah, the second assignment. And the folder is called bash 1. In here, we have the answer.bash file. Run it, // or bash followed by the file name. // are less characters, so let's stick with that. Here we have, I thought it was going to be the wrong answer, but it's correct. Well done, me. 1 point. Here you get immediate feedback if it's correct or if it's wrong. If it's wrong, we do like that. Then we run the command again. /answer bash. Fail. I said nothing because there aren't any folder called just Apache. But I want to get the hint. What am I supposed to do? Then I use the variable under each answer. This structure is for each question. I change false to true. True. And as long as I have errors, it's a fancy word, errors. As long as my answer is wrong, I get a hint. There, under 1.1, I said nothing. A hint is, the solution. Use it if you get stuck and don't know what we are looking for. Är vi klara, va? Ja. Use the Gitter chat for questions. And next time we see each other is in 14 days.